Hi, how are you? And welcome to another week of content. If you don't know us, if this is the first time you see one of our videos, this is Tweengreens. We are a brand in development. We are creating a natural skincare brand for tweens and teens. And in this channel, we give you tips about taking care of the skin of a tween or a teenager. And this week, we are talking about exfoliation. Remember that we are going deeper in the 7 habits that a teenager needs to establish if the teenager wants to have an acne-free skin. So we are going through each habit every week. And last week we were talking about cleansing. This week the turn is for exfoliation. So we are going to talk about what is exfoliation, what type of exfoliation a kid needs, well, a young kid needs, and how to choose the right exfoliator for the tween or teenage skin. Let's go to the topic. Well, let's go to the topic. What is exfoliation and what is this so important for keeping acne away from the teen skin? Well, basically what happens with acne is that these dead cells accumulate in the skin basically because of hormonal changes or because a lack of cleansing or because bad functioning of the skin barrier. And what happens is that these dead cells accumulate in the skin and they mix with sebum, creating comedones. And then these comedones become food for bacteria, and there is where acne starts. So why we need exfoliation is basically to support the skin on taking away all those dead cells from the surface of the skin. That's it. That is exfoliate, and that is why it's so important, especially in this age. Okay. Now, which type of exfoliation we have? There are 2 types of exfoliation: mechanical exfoliation and chemical exfoliation. And let's talk about each of these. Well, mechanical exfoliation, when we talk about it, is something that we do with our hands. Basically, is when we take an exfoliating agent and we remove those cells, those dead cells from the skin with this exfoliator and our hands. That is why we call that mechanical. And yeah, is it good? Yes, it is, depending on the ingredient that we use for exfoliate. What happens usually is that we see a lot of videos or recommendations in the web suggesting to use, for example, sugar or salt to create an exfoliator, and that's very risky for the skin because these are sugar and salt are very abrasive for the skin, so they can create these microscopical lesions in the skin, which is worse than what we are trying to achieve, that is giving the skin a more health. Okay, so we have to take care with mechanical exfoliation, and basically we need to use the correct ingredients and the correct frequency of doing so. My favorite way to use mechanical exfoliation is through clay mask. Why do I prefer this? Basically because with clay mask we have it's a natural ingredient. Clay is very absorbent and it takes away a lot of excess of sebum, and because it dries in the skin, when it dries and we are taking away this mask, it creates an exfoliating effect in a very gentle way. So this is my preferred way. I use it with my tween once a week, but you can also use other exfoliator agents that I am going to take about you right now. Okay, here I have three types of clay. This, for example, is rose clay. I really love it because it has a great absorption power. This is bentonite clay. If your kid is already experiencing acne, this one is amazing for acne skin. It has an amazing properties. This one is Rachel clay. This is, for me, is like is softer. If your kid has sensitive skin, I prefer Rachel. I can mix them, I can use them individually. I can decide, I have the flexibility to decide that when I'm going to use it. But Rachel for sensitive skin, amazing, okay? Now, to activate, I just need to mix it with water. That is the way a clay activates. And here, for example, I'm going to use a water-based hydrating serum. This is the one I'm creating to launch in Tweengreens. And I haven't, this is not the final formula, but I am already using it with my daughter and her friends. And basically, you use this water-based ingredient to activate the clay. You can activate it also with water. You can activate it with, for example, mixing water and rose hydrosol, for example. Anyway, you start mixing this liquid until you got an homogeneous mix of the clay. Okay, and if you want to create a natural exfoliator, I recommend you to use these natural ingredients instead of salt and sugar that can be very harmful with your skin. Remember, this can create these little abrasions in the skin that you cannot notice them, but they can damage the skin barrier function. Okay, so here I have my ingredients. This, for example, is a bamboo powder. It's very soft. It's very gentle with skin, very natural. So, and it is not as abrasive as I told you. This one, for example, are jojoba beds. This is very soft as well. It's amazing. I love to use jojoba beds in my exfoliators. This one is avocado powder. It has more the texture of the clay mask. It's amazing as well. And you know, different than clays that activates with water and gets a creamy texture, this one, they do not create that creamy texture with water. So we need to use a suspending agent. In the market, you can find exfoliator in gels because those are the gelling agent suspends the particles of the exfoliator. So here, instead, I'm using honey to suspend the exfoliator. This is something you can do at home, and you only need to mix the exfoliator and the honey, and that's it. You can, I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to show it in the camera. I don't know if you can appreciate it, but this already mixed. You only need to do a little massage in the clean skin, and after wash it, and we are ready for the hydration process. And that's it. That is my natural exfoliator. Now that you have seen how easy it is to activate a clay mask, I want to tell you why do I prefer to activate a clay mask myself. Basically because of preservation. Clay is very absorbent, not just with sebum, but with water. So when we have an activated mask, we need to use a very strong preservative in order to keep that mask fresh. Because natural preservatives are so absorbed by clay and are not very stable. So because I think that I want to delay the most I can to put chemicals in the skin of my daughter, for example, I prefer to activate it myself. It's a very more natural way to use it. It's very easy to do it. It's very, flexible, because sometimes I activate it with a serum, sometimes I activate it just with water, sometimes I mix water and rose water. So I think it's very Sometimes I use just one clay, sometimes I mix 2 or 3 clays. So I think it's more flexible, it's more natural, and that way it's more healthy for young skin. So this is mechanical exfoliation. How often should we use mechanical exfoliation in young skin? My recommendation would be once a week. That's it. Once a week, a clay mask, and maybe next week you use a mix of an exfoliator and honey, for example, and that's it. If maybe, or the thin skin, you already have a teenager, like 15 or 16 years old, and it's very oily, it has a very oily skin, maybe I would increase it to twice a week, and that's it. Not daily, not 3 times a week, 2 times a week. Why? Because excessive mechanical exfoliation, what can create is removing the sebum that we need to keep in the skin to keep it healthy. That's my reason. But that's my recommendation for you. And now that we have finished mechanical exfoliation, let's see about chemical exfoliation. Well, when we talk about chemical exfoliation, just like its name is saying, is when we use chemical agents to create that exfoliation in the skin. And the 2 most commonly used chemical exfoliators are alpha hydroxy acids and beta hydroxy acids. The first are used like a peeling. I do not recommend alpha hydroxy acids for young skin. In this group we can find glycolic acid, lactic acid, fruit acids, and yes, they are very effective with, for example, with clearing the skin after acne. If you have some acne scars, or your kid has already gone through acne and has some acne scars, this is good for that. But very young skin, I do not recommend it. Why? Because to have an activated alpha hydroxy acid product, we have to use it in a very low pH, like 3 or 3.5. This is very acid for a young skin. The way it is used is basically in a cream, for example, in a very low acidic cream that is put in the face for 10-15 minutes, maybe twice and 3 times a week. It creates this peeling effect, and it's removed, okay? However, I recommend it to use maybe for above 16, 17, 18 years old, and when the kid already experienced some acne and wants to eliminate the scars, okay? The other group is the beta hydroxy acids. That is my favorite. Here we can find salicylic acid, and to be honest, it's my favorite exfoliator. It is commonly used in the cleanser, okay? And what it creates is a very gentle exfoliation with the time, okay? I prefer to use, I don't know if you saw my video of last week when I explained about the 2-step cleansing process, but I prefer to use it in the oil step of cleansing. Why? Because salicylic acid disperses very well in oils, and I don't have to keep it in a very low pH. Instead, when I use it in a water-based cleanser, which would be the second step of cleanser, I would have to do a very low pH water-based cleanser. And again, I don't like to use such an acidic product in a young skin. For adults, it's perfect. I think for a young skin, tweens or teenagers, I think it would be a very strong product that could create some irritation. So I prefer to use salicylic acid in the oil-based cleanser. It depends also on concentration. When products that have salicylic acid in the market, they are usually 2% of salicylic acid concentration, basically because this is the top that FDA allows to have it in a product. However, for a young skin, for example, tween, when our tweens are experiencing these camerons, this is a very high concentration. I tend to use from 0.5% or 1% tops, and that is why it's important to find the right products according to the age. That is very, very important. We talked about it last week, but it's very, very important. So this is beta hydroxy acid. These are chemical exfoliators, which I recommend, but with precaution, watching the type of product and the concentration of that product. Okay, and we've got to the end of this video. So please, if this was an interesting topic for you, don't forget to like this video, to subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and help me share this information with other moms of tweens or teenagers that want to keep their kids' skin healthy. We also provide some mindfulness tips. So remember that this is not just about cleansing or exfoliating. It's about to create this ritual in the skincare routine that supports self-esteem of our teenagers. So I'm going to give you in the description also the ritual, the mantras that helps to build a ritual from the skincare routine of our teenagers. So I wait for you next week with a different topic. Bye.